With that, Ms. Lake, I will be recognizing myself. I recently held a subcommittee hearing on the State Department's censorship industrial complex, which was previously in the business of silencing American voices overseas and at home. Thanks to a thorough investigation and review by Congress and the Foreign Affairs Committee previously and President Trump's leadership, that bureau is no more. Building off of that work here today, you've spoken extensively about the importance of telling America's story and standing up to censorship. In your view, what should be the mission of the U.S. Agency for Global Media going forward? Moreover, how can we ensure its position to effectively promote American values and counter propaganda from authoritarian regimes like the Chinese Communist Party?
Well, we definitely need to bring some huge changes to this agency. I believe that the agency should be eliminated, and then we should pull out the things that are of value. And VOA, Office of Cuba Broadcasting, we need to look at what works. And what works is telling America's story abroad. What doesn't work is being anti-American, telling the CCP propaganda abroad on our airwaves. And we need to modernize. I don't think doing 1990s television is effective anymore. People just aren't, that's not where they're getting their information.
What do you think some of the most important stories and tenets about America that need to be told that haven't been getting told?
I think that just the history of this country and what this country is about, our freedoms, our liberties, our Bill of Rights.
Maybe the founding of our country.
The founding of our country, yeah. And especially this year with 250 years.
That would seem to me a pretty big story to tell. I mean, that seems like
one of the things that's
something that the rest of the world's going to pay attention to.
And one of the things that's statutorily required is to talk about all 50 states, including the beautiful parts of our country, all 50 states and tourism. Those are things that are actually in the statute.
By that, I'm sure you mean Michigan.
But Michigan's beautiful. One of my favorite states. I'm a Midwesterner. I was born there. Oh. I was born in the Midwest.
Right.
So we haven't been doing that, and we're trying to do what's statutorily required. Unfortunately, they've gotten into the habit of hiring foreigners to tell America's story. Yeah. And if you were born in another country, you don't know our history, you don't know our culture, in many cases you don't know our language, how do you effectively tell America's story?
That's the right question to be asking, and now we're looking for that solution of how to do that. I think there's growing consensus that America needs to do more to push back against authoritarian propaganda and censorship around the world, particularly from communist China, but other places as well. I have an example, a specific example from Southwest Michigan. I happen to represent a significant Burmese population in my district, many of whom with family and friends still subjected to the authoritarian military junta's role in Burma and their rule there. Many of these people have relied on Voice of America Burmese service to expose the malign activities of the CCP in its manipulation of the Burmese military junta, and oftentimes drive a more profound skepticism of Beijing's intentions. We were just having a dialogue with my colleague about the statutory languages and that kind of thing. Would it make sense to have flexibility to say, okay, let's surge in an area? You were talking about in a newsroom surges to where the information is. Wouldn't it make sense to have some flexibility to say, okay, you know what? Burma is a place that we need to be paying attention to, and so and move some of those assets around.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious, what role do you see organizations like USAGM, and you were just talking about possibly eliminating them, playing in the global information fight? What reforms do you prioritize to ensure that we're winning the battle? That's the most important thing.
Well, for starters, I'm going to prioritize making sure that we're getting out information that is not anti-American. That would be very disastrous, and we've done that in the past, and we don't want to do that anymore. And I'm going to work to make sure that's not happening. But you're right. We need to search. There's no expiration date on anything in the government. If we are working to see to it that people of an oppressed nation are getting information, to know there are options out there, to know that there's a better way, and then when that nation is no longer being oppressed, we continue to operate there. It just doesn't make sense. But what they've done over the years, 84 years, is expand, 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 collecting more languages, covering more languages that we don't necessarily have to be covering. One of our success stories is Office of Cuba Broadcasting, broadcasting directly into Cuba and getting into the ears and the hearts of the people of Cuba. But there will come a day where I believe there will be freedom for the people of Cuba. And then do we need to still continue to broadcast in? That's a question that needs to be asked. So we should have expiration dates when it's mission accomplished. It doesn't mean we continue to pour tens of millions of dollars more into it.
I appreciate that. My time has expired. With that, the chair recognizes Ms. Jayapal from Washington for 5 minutes.